Well, it's officially time for the Super Bowl to be played in New Orleans, which is actually the site of the, believe it or not, coldest Super Bowl to ever be played over 50 years ago.
Weather Authority meteorologist Emily Santom is breaking down some of the major weather events that have impacted other Super Bowls in the past. This is really interesting.
It is. You know, I did a lot of this research last year too, and it still continues into this year because last year's Super Bowl did not make any weather crazy and things that have happened because mostly Super Bowls now are played inside.
Right.
But there have been times where major weather events have impacted the Super Bowl. This time around, though, Kansas City and Philadelphia will play in almost 80-degree weather, but inside the Superdome, so outside it'll be almost 80 degrees. Yet that was not the case 53 years ago. For Super Bowl VI, it was the coldest Super Bowl ever played. Kickoff temperatures were in the low 40s with wind chills in the 20s outside. This was played in New Orleans in 1972. Dallas ended up winning this game. Now let's head to the warmest Super Bowl, which is 1 year later at Super Bowl VII. It was 84 degrees at kickoff in Los Angeles. Miami actually went undefeated that year, so it was pretty cool. This is the windiest Super Bowl, Super Bowl XIV. There were winds out of the northeast gusting up to 30 miles per hour during that game, so you could definitely say that they had a rough time during that game with a lot of wind impacting it. Here's the snowiest Super Bowl. So it actually snowed about 1 inch outside, but the Super Bowl was played inside. It was Super Bowl 40 between Pittsburgh and Seattle. Here's our wettest Super Bowl in Miami, Florida, which is typically wet a lot of the time. Weather may impact next year's Super Bowl, but this one, pretty interesting. About 1 inch of rain fell between the game of Indianapolis and Chicago. It was a pretty messy game. That was Super Bowl 41. This is interesting. The weather will maybe impact next year's Super Bowl as it'll be played outdoors in Santa Clara, California, right during California's prime wet season. So we may see that story circulating this time next year, and we'll have to see if the rain will impact that game. I know that they are dealing with a lot of atmospheric rivers right now. So it could be a little bit interesting this time next year.
Here's the interesting part of this. I remember because they always have the Super Bowl in warm weather climates. One time they had it in a cold weather climate in the wintertime, and they had it in New Jersey. And everyone was nervous that it was going to be like 20 degrees, 15 degrees. The temperature kickoff ended up be 49 degrees.
Oh, that's pretty good.
In February at the Super Bowl when the Seattle Seahawks played in that game in New Jersey. But people were telling you, don't have the Super Bowl there, don't have the Super Bowl there, and they did, and they lucked out with the weather big time.
Wow. Yeah, that's really, and I was actually saying, I think yesterday with Christian, I mean, New Orleans just recently got a lot of snow.
And they
Imagine if that, happened
this
weekend.
Yes, exactly. You know, these temperatures that they're dealing with right now are actually near record temps. So it's actually pretty good timing, and it looks like they're having a lot of fun already down in New Orleans.
Great for the fans, that's for sure.
And this is supposed to be a reward for the teams and the fans, so they try to make them in warm weather climates.
Places,
But in the past, they have had them in Detroit, in Minneapolis, in Pontiac, Michigan, and they have had snow, like major storms that have impacted travel to the games. But that's why they don't like having them in the winter, you know, the cold weather climates. So that's why they had like having New Orleans, Miami, Tampa, Los Angeles, Santa Clara. So.
There you go, and we'll see what happens next year.
We'll have to see what happens next year. Exactly.
Good thing to keep our eye on. All right, Emily, thanks.
Well, if you have any weather-related questions you'd like to ask our Weather Authority team, you can always email us at weather@wgme.com.